So when you're online, that first point of contact with a business is, well, it's usually a pretty lifeless chatbot, right? But what if it wasn't? What if that first impression was actually a dynamic, intelligent conversation? Well, today we're going to dig into a platform called Sentifyd, which is using 3D AI avatars to do exactly that.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the chatbot problem. What's broken? Then we'll dive into Sentifyd's new take on conversation. We'll see how it works, who it's really for, and of course, how you can get started. And finally, we'll zoom out and think about what this means for the future of how we interact online.
All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, the chatbot problem. And really, to get why what Sentifyd is doing is so interesting, we first have to talk about something we've all experienced, that good old chatbot frustration.
I mean, we've all been here, haven't we? You land on a website, that little chat window pops up, and you just kind of brace yourself for this, this frustrating loop of pre-written answers that don't really help.
Yeah, way too often, these things feel less like a helpful guide and more like a digital brick wall. The whole experience is just flat. It's impersonal. It's just this monotonous text-only loop that, let's be honest, completely fails to engage you and usually can't handle anything more complicated than the most basic questions.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the fix? Well, this brings us to Section 2, a new conversation. Sentifyd thinks the answer is a totally new kind of conversation, one that's powered by what they call 3D agentic avatars. And this right here, this is their core mission. The key word is revolutionizing. I mean, they're not talking about a small tweak here. They are aiming to completely change what we expect from interacting with businesses online. So what in the world is an agentic 3D avatar? Okay, think of it this way. It's not just a talking head. The most important word here is agentic. That means this AI can actually do stuff. It can execute complex tasks, not just spit out pre-programmed answers. So you combine that power with a dynamic 3D character and an expressive voice, and suddenly the whole interaction starts to feel, well, a lot more human. And Sentifyd, well, that's the platform that makes all of this possible. It's basically an all-in-one tool that lets you build, train, and launch these advanced AI assistants yourself, without needing a whole team of developers to do it for you. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That sounds super complex and probably really expensive to build. So how does Sentifyd actually make this accessible? Well, their whole platform is built on these three pillars: convenience, cost-effectiveness, and speed. It actually breaks down into three pretty simple steps. First up, you create your avatar. You get to customize its look, its personality, the whole 9 yards. Then you train it, and you use your own knowledge for this. Stuff like product documents, website FAQs, really anything you want it to know. And finally, step 3, you deploy it right on your site with a simple, low-code component. Easy as that.
And this chart, this really drives home the value. I mean, think about trying to do this yourself, the DIY way. You'd be looking at huge development costs, a super slow timeline, and needing all sorts of specialized skills. Sentifyd's platform just bundles all of that up into a user-friendly interface. It's a total game changer, making it way more cost-effective and so much faster. And the platform is just packed with some really powerful features. A big one is security. It's designed to be safe, so no user data is ever stored. That's huge. Plus, the avatars are multilingual, they have these really immersive and expressive animations, and you can manage all of your different avatars from one simple dashboard.
All right, Section 4. So who is this actually for? Because, this kind of tech can feel like it's only for the big players, the giant corporations. But is that the case here?
Nope, not at all. Sentifyd is really built for small businesses and websites that are looking for a way to create a much better, more enhanced user interaction experience without, having to have a massive budget.
And you can see how this applies across so many different areas. Think about it, an e-commerce shop where an avatar can answer your questions about a product in real time, or an educational website where an avatar guides a student through a lesson. The use cases are just so broad, because that need for better engagement, well, that's pretty much universal. Okay, so let's say you're intrigued. This brings us to the practical side of things, getting started. How does the business model actually work, and what does it really take to get one of these avatars up and running on your site?
The whole idea behind their model is to be super accessible, especially for a business that's still growing. The goal is to avoid any huge upfront investment. It's a structure that can scale right along with you as your needs change.
So how do they do that? They use a pay-as-you-go model. This is awesome because it totally removes that big barrier to entry. You can sign up, create your avatars, manage them, all for free. You only start paying for the conversation minutes that your avatar actually uses. It's that simple.
And to make it even better, to get you started, they're giving every new user 500 free conversation minutes. And get this, no credit card required to sign up. So it's a completely risk-free way to just jump in and test the whole platform out. Getting it onto your site is just as easy. You've got a few options. You can use their low-code web component to pop it right into your existing site. You can share a dedicated web page for your avatar. And for anyone on Shopify, they have an integration in the works that's going to make it seamless to add to your store. All right, so let's zoom out for our final section, the future of interaction. What does all this really mean for the bigger picture? Because this technology, it's really more than just a fancy new website widget. It feels like it's pointing to a really fundamental shift in how we experience the internet. At the end of the day, this is all about moving past that simple robotic question and answer format. The real goal here is to craft personalized, interactive experiences that actually resonate with people. It's about creating a genuine connection, making your audience feel heard and understood, not just like they're another ticket being processed. And that really leaves us with a big question, especially for anyone with a presence online. As technology like this becomes more and more accessible, how will you connect with your customers tomorrow?